everybody, welcome back to DIY Gamer Classes. So, you might remember but last time we created a little spaceship that moved across the screen of the DIY Gamer and it just constantly animated. Now there's obviously no logic or kind of intelligence around what it's doing, it's literally just animating across the screen happily forever until we change the code. What we want to do though is actually control the movement of that spaceship around the screen, and the way we're going to do that is with the switches. There's an up, a down, a left and a right switch. We need to be able to use those switches, read those switches in, and then tell the spaceship where we want to move it along the screen. So the first step is to read the switches and understand when you have managed to successfully read a switch. So, as you all know, I love to start from scratch. It's the beginning. It's like turning over a new leaf. So what we'll do is we'll start a whole new sketch from scratch. Always good to begin from the beginning. Begin at the very beginning. And we always, at the start of our sketches, start with a void setup and a void loop. The setup happens once at the beginning and the loop happens forever when the code is finished setting up. The only other thing we have to do is, of course, import our DIY library, a DIY Gamer library. So sketch, import library, choose Gamer, there it is. The next thing we have to do is create the Gamer object. So we refer to the Gamer library by spelling it the exact same way as we do in the library there. Gamer, and we create an object called Gamer. Remember the semicolon. Then inside of the setup, we have to say gamer.begin. Because what that does is it basically sets up all of the stuff that happens on the screen, switches, all the stuff that basically has to be able to work with us, the programmer, and all the functions that we then will be using to, say, read the switches. So the next thing we're going to do is, before I even begin programming the actual logic, I'm going to check this lovely thing called the cheat sheet. Now, I think I've referred to this once before. The cheat sheet is really the quickest and easiest way to remember what functions the DIY Gamer library offers you. So I have it loaded up, the PDF loaded up here. You can download this from the website. Here it is. Now, on this cheat sheet, there's all these little sketches and animations. Right, here we go. So, inputs, that's what I'm looking for. Use these functions to check if buttons are pressed or held. Pressed or held. There's a difference between those two things. Let's talk about that later. You can also read some raw values and information about the light-dependent resistor, which is on there. So the first thing we're going to look at here, this function, the isPressed function, that's interesting, and the isHeld function. And what we need to do is we're going to literally copy that thing into our code. See, here it goes. I'm going to start with the isPressed function. So I'm going to say if, remember the if, there's a conditional statement. We're saying if something is true, then do something about that thing. Okay? So if the gamer.isPressed, and we have to say which one is pressed, which one? We've got up, down, left, right. So let's try up is equal to true. Then what do? We're going to, let's put an LED on at the top of the screen. We're going to say gamer.display. And remember the display, when we use the display, we have to set the grid reference, which LED in the grid we want to turn on. And remember, it starts at the 0th position. 0 in the horizontal position is that one right there, and 0 in the vertical position is that one right there. Okay? So, we're going to say, let's say we'll put on the sort of middle-ish, the fourth one from the left. So that'll be, if it's the fourth one from the left, what'll it be? 0, 1, 2, the third one in the grid reference. So 3, and the top position would be the 0th position, 0. And we're going to set that equal to 1. That will turn an LED on when the switch is pressed. And then after that, I have to say gamer.update display. If you remember, those are the very important things that make sure that the DIY Gamer begins over here, checks to see if something is true, and if it is true, it turns on an LED on, and regardless of what happens above this, just update the display. So let's upload that and see what it does. Okay, so it's finished uploading, and you'll see there's nothing on the display. I'm going to push the down button, nothing happens. Left button, right button, nothing happens. Boom, up button works, it turns the LED on we want, the fourth one from the left edge. Perfect! But it stays on there now. So we have to remember, we have to turn these things off once we turn them on again. Otherwise, it just stays on forever. Now, the only way to reset that is by resetting the Arduino. Let's try it again. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Boom. Great. Okay, cool. So in my code, I'm going to say gamer.clear. Now let's see what happens when I run this code. So I've uploaded the code, and now when I press this up button, what do we expect to see? We expect to see the light go on, but it's not going on. Why is that happening? Because if you look at the way the code goes, we're first saying clear the screen immediately, then check to see if the button is pressed, then update the display, and then what happens after that? It goes straight back up to clear the screen immediately. So that's so quick that what's probably happening is it's turning the light on so quickly and then turning it off immediately. That's crazy. That doesn't help at all. So what we have to do then, if we really want to make sure that we see it, is put a very short delay in there just to make sure we can recognize the light going on. So I've just added a 10 millisecond delay at the end of straight after the update. So before it goes back to clear, it holds for 10 milliseconds. As soon as it's uploaded, let's check. There it is. You can see now it's actually flickering on for those 10 milliseconds. Okay, good. So we know for sure that the LED is working, the system is working. There's another function though, which is called isHeld. Let's see what that does. So the difference between held and pressed is when you press something once, it's like on, off, on, off, on, off. But if you hold it down, it goes like, if it's just looking for pressed, it goes like this, on, and then nothing happens, right? On, release, on, release, on, release. With isHeld, it's saying on, release, on, release. Oops. I released too quickly in my voice. So let's see what isHeld does to our program. Just changed it from isPressed to isHeld. So if I hold the up button, look at that. It's staying on the whole time. That's more interesting. Almost perfect. So now we know that there's a difference. If I just want to move the ship once across the screen every time I press a button, I use isPressed. So move the screen, move the ship, move the ship, move the ship, move the ship, or move the ship one position, move the ship one position. Or if I wanted to move faster, I say, move until you let go, move until you let go, right? Okay, so that's good to know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the code in such a way that I'm taking a pixel and moving it from this corner to anywhere inside of that screen, okay? Now that means we have to create these things called variables. And a variable contains, in this case, the position of its horizontal position and its vertical position. We're going to record that value, okay? So we're going to call that, in our code, an integer, which is a value that can be negative to positive, so it's like negative 32,000 something to positive 32,000 something. Okay? So for the one that holds the horizontal position, I'm going to create a variable called ship x, because it's the x position. But that has to be defined as a type of value. So you have different types of things. We're going to call this one an integer type. And an integer, you just type in int to create an integer type. What's cool about the integer type is that you can have any value from negative 32,768 to positive 32,767, and any number in between, any whole number in between. So that means I'm pretty sure we're going to be okay on the screen, because the screen only goes from 0 to 7. So I think that's within range. So we're going to start off the ship x position to be is equal to 0. And then we're going to create another variable called ship y and equal that to 0 as well. Now that I've created the two variables, I need to use those variables. So what I'm going to do is I want to make sure that whenever I press once, I'm going to move the pixel around the screen, okay? So instead of being held, because if I hold it down, it's going to move too fast, I'm going to say is pressed again. We're going back to the is pressed option of the switch reading. So if gamer pressed is pressed up is equal to true, then what am I going to do? I'm going to say, I'm no longer talking about the display directly. Now what I'm saying is I'm going to change the variable value so that when I use the position variables, I will have the new positions, if that makes sense. So what we're going to do is, instead of have gamer.displayUpdate, we're going to change the ship variables. So if I am moving up from the bottom, it goes 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Those are the positions going from bottom to top. So we go 7 to 6 is 7 minus 1. So we say the ship Y is equal to ship Y minus 1. Okay? Then I'm going to copy and paste that because I'm lazy. Game.is pressed, this time what? Down is equal to true. Then what's happening? It goes from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. So it goes 0, so 0 to 1 is 0 plus 1. So we say ship Y plus 1 this time. Then we're going to say left. So what's left doing? Left is ship X this time because we're going left or right. So from right to left, right to left, we're going from 7 to 6 to 5 to 4. So what is that? 7 to 6 is 7 minus 1. So we're going ship X is equal to ship X minus 1. And then we copy and paste that again, and we have, this time we're doing right. And we say ship X is equal to ship X plus 1, because going from left to right, 0 to 1 is plus 1. Then what we say is inside, straight after that, we say gamer.display, and we have to use those two variable names in such a way that they're dereferencing the horizontal and the vertical positions. So the first position in our grid is our X position. So we say just ship X. And the second position, the second part of the array is the Y position. So we say ship Y. It says equal to 1. Done. Let's upload that. Uploading. Luckily there were no errors. Okay, so look at that. It starts off at position 0, 0 as we specified in our code. If I push the left button, look at that. It's moving across, down, left, right, top, up, right. Ooh, you see what happened? Interesting. So if I go off the screen, it's going to the next column. That's interesting. So now what we have to do is make sure that it doesn't go off the screen, because you want to constrain our ship inside of the screen. In the future, you might want to keep your ship moving around the screen like that, but I want to make sure it stays inside of the box and never goes outside of the box. So what we do there is we create another if statement. We say if our ship Y value is less than 0, because it can't be less than 0 because that's minus 1. There's no minus 1 position. We just say ship Y must stay at 0. And then when we're increasing ship Y, we say if ship Y is greater than, what is the maximum position? 0 to 7. So if it becomes 8, so greater than 7, we must make sure that ship Y is equal to 7. Then we're going to do the same thing for ship X. So this time if ship X is less than 0, ship X is equal to 0. And if ship X is greater than 0, ship X is greater than 7, ship X is equal to 7. So let's see what that does. So if I now go right, oh, it can't go past that. If I go down, 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 oh, it doesn't go past the bottom. Let's go up, 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 up. Nope, it doesn't go off the sides, and let's go all the way over here. Great, fantastic. Last thing I'll do very quickly is I'm going to change pressed to held, because I want to show you how quickly it moves. And then we are done for this class. Woohoo! Look at this. Upload it. Now you'll see why we used pressed instead of held. And upload is finished. Boom! Look how quickly that thing moves. That's really quick, but it's actually kind of cool. But I can't really find the middle so easily. Can you see how quickly it moves? And the reason why that's actually not super fast is because there's still that delay function in here. So if I change that to, if I change the delay down to 1 millisecond, let's see what happens. But, ooh, it's almost impossible. There's no way. Interesting stuff. So now that we have a pixel moving around the screen, we can now imagine replacing that pixel with our entire spaceship. So that's what we're going to do in the next class. As always, if you'd like to make any comments, ask questions, suggest some things that you'd like to see us do make comments below. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.